Well, hello, everybody there who's maybe out there in the world. We've been waiting a couple minutes, and hopefully you're super excited to hear from my guests. I love that they're casually sitting there with their coffee in their hand. So we got Louise Reid and Jay Andrews with me. And so I actually know Louise because was it the first No Longer Virtual? Now I'm trying to figure
No, it was Atlanta. So it wasn't just the one past, it was the time before. So I was a newbie to No Longer Virtual.
Okay, so there's a conference every year that Sarah Elkins put it on, and Louise and I were both there, and so she came that one time, and that is like I remember, and then I've been kind of watching her from afar, and then with Jay, I've never even met him, but just out in the universe, and one day he recognizes me. This says something on here. We're having trouble live streaming on LinkedIn. Okay, so this is interesting. That actually fixes itself. That's the problem with the streaming services. It's tech, right?
Gotta go with it.
Exactly, you got to go with it. And luckily, it's on YouTube too. So hopefully, people kind of say, "Okay, let me go over to the YouTube channel and get that link." But anyway, so the day that I was like, I don't even, who is this person? I mean, I kind of knew you because I'd been seeing it, but I didn't know you, Jay. And then to see you highlight me, I thought that was so awesome. And every time it's like, I see both of you doing this, and I love to do it as well. And like between my podcasts and these shows, I love to highlight people who are just doing great things. So you two are on the hot seat. So I'd love to know why, you focus so much on highlighting others. And I know that takes a lot of time. I know that. And what does it do for you? And what do you think it does for others?
Jay just very kindly suggested I could go first. I was going to actually let you go first. I don't always do that.
No, this is true. This is true. She always jumps the gun, but ladies first.
It's a great question, simple question, but I think there's a lot of elements to the answer. And I think you'll find a different answer as well from Jay and I. I love science. And he knew I was going to do that. I love science. And I'd say in the last 5 years, I've really been developing my spirituality. So for me, the answer lies somewhere in the blend of science and soul. So the science of it tells us that our brain loves that, all those feel-good hormones that get released when we do something, good for others, the oxytocin. And I'm sure we've got friends from No Longer Virtual who who know all about that neuroscience stuff.
Exactly.
But I think that's part of the why is you get that kickback, you get that feedback loop, which inherently then makes you want to do it more. But then beyond the science stuff, it's just part of being human. I recall just my mom saying to me when I was young, the most underrated quality is kindness. And as a child, I was like, okay. As an adult, I'm like, okay. And I see that. And so giving kindness towards others shows up in a variety of ways. And professionally, I feel that this is how I can do that, is by sharing, showcasing, and highlighting the work of other great people doing great things. So that's kind of my not so short answer.
I love it though. How about you, Jay?
So for me, I've always been one of those people that love being around people. And with the whole thing with the Fantastic Four, which has been over 2 years now, and just recently had a 100th edition of it. So,
wow.
So I've highlighted 400 people across the world. And the thing is, and I'm not going to share this because a lot of people do not know this, but all those people that I've shared, I'm actually connected with. And the beautiful thing is that I'm aware of what everyone else is doing. So I'm going to use an analogy for you. So it's like being on the sidelines, watching everything happen like a scout and kind of keeping notes and tracks and on what is happening with people. And I may not on LinkedIn, I may not say things on people's posts. I may not like, the like or whatever the little emojis that they have now, but I'm very aware of what he or she is doing. And so what I do is that I go through connections and because I'm always on LinkedIn and I'm always checking out what people are doing. And when I see all these incredible superheroes that are out there, And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, people need to know about these people, because some people are fortunate that they are connected already, but other people are like, where do you come up? Like, where are these people? And it just proves a point that there are so many amazing people out there, in whether it's in your own city, in your own backyard, or half across the world. There's someone, and I'm truly inspired by everyone that's out there. Like you, Louise, every person that I'm connected with or I follow inspire me to be better and make me want to share the greatness that I know that you are with everyone else. So this is why I do it.
Oh, I love that. And what you see me doing now is I'm trying to actually get a YouTube link out to people who might be going, what's happening? I can't see anything. I'm just trying to put it in here right now. This is why they tell you to have, there goes, I'm gonna put the one in for yours too, Louise, so I can make sure everybody gets it. There's a level of selflessness there. And that joy, it's interesting because I always say, like, in recognizing others, and it's a big part of the work I do. It's like in recognizing others, you also get that boost. So like you talked about of oxytocin. So they get it, you get it. It's like a double whammy of goodness. And people don't realize that. And there's amazing, like in the workplace, how many folks, just leaders, are missing the mark. They just don't focus on uplifting their people. And they're more focused on either the day-to-day tasks or something that's going on that, they feel like it's more important, and they aren't taking that time to stop and to recognize even just the smallest things that their people are doing. I think that's the biggest thing, is just not understanding the importance of that.
I think it's also, so yes, and if I may, I think it's that we are living in a busier world than ever before. And we are living more in the stress response than we are in the non-stress response. And so what do when we're stressed? We react. We don't actually, it shuts down that part of the brain that allows us to connect with others and collaborate and think strategically. And so our leaders aren't taking that time. Like you said, that they're not taking a moment to connect to themselves so that they can then connect to others.
I always said that you're only as good as the people that you're with. And so if you're being a true leader, you didn't get there on your own. It was a group effort. It was a team effort. And you are truly only as good as the people around you. And if you are supportive and understanding and compassionate, and you're being authentic and genuine when you're actually in the space and you're listening, like you're actually listening and understanding what they're saying, you will become a better person. They will become a better person. And if you happen to be in business and you're working on something, that thing, whatever it is, will become greater than when your expectation is, because we all bring something to the party. We all bring something to the dance. And so, yeah, you're as good as the people that are around you.
Well, I see somebody at least got into YouTube. I posted it to all three of our posts. It just says LinkedIn. I don't know what it is. It's just saying LinkedIn is having a hard time streaming right now. So luckily I put two options, and I'm hoping other people start to chime in. But hi there, Anne. Thanks for joining us.
Yay, Anne!
And whoever else decides to join us on YouTube, just like give a shout out, please. Because right now I don't see anything on LinkedIn. So I apologize if you are in there. I really hope you could just go over to YouTube and just go ahead and put in, hey, you and where you're from and why you're on here. Because I'm happy to see all the smiles and hear all the great stories and, of impact. Right now, COVID, all of the stuff with the racial unrest, the divide that's happening all around us. It's so important right now, right? That we put all of our energy into this more positive, forward-thinking, others-focused place. I think if more people did that, we wouldn't even be in the place we're in right now. I mean, maybe not with COVID, because that's kind of a different thing, but with the other things related to the racial divide, if the people who were perpetrators of that, right, they would, if they had this idea of others first and uplifting others and the positive chemicals, and they cared enough to produce those in others, we'd just be in a different place right now.
Oh my gosh. So yes, and
yes.
All that. Where do we even start there?
I will say this, the whole COVID thing, as damaging that it has been on businesses and on individual lives, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But I've always been, and anyone who knows me, I'm a cup half full. I constantly, whatever adversity has ever been thrown at me, I've been able to flip the script and find the other solution to it. And I think a lot of good has come out of this. Being parents of 4 teenage boys who are constantly busy, who are in sports and other recreational things. Well, all that's on pause. That's not happening anymore. So there is this core value of getting back to basics, of being around the family and actually connecting with your loved ones and having those true conversations that you never ever had, because I had to run Johnny to hockey, or I had to take Betty to soccer practice, or whatever it is, right? Or I'm sorry, I have to get on my laptop and work on the computer till midnight and not spend time with your spouse, or pick up the phone and talk to your parents or a friend because you're always too busy. COVID has taken that excuse out of the mix, and now you have that opportunity. So for me, COVID is, and I'm not taking anything away from all the bad things that have happened through it and continue to happen through it, but there is a shining light in this situation.
It's so true. I agree with you. It's interesting. I don't know if you know this, but about a year ago, I gave a talk on transforming adversity into opportunity. It was a TED Talk. And I gave that not for any marketing purposes, because it wasn't like straight on topic for what I usually talk about, but I did it because I felt like back then when it came my way, that there were a lot of people being victims, a lot of people being stuck in their circumstances. And I was like, I hear you, but like I actually like if you could look in the dictionary, you'll see I could be a victim. Like, I have the ability to be that, and I have other reasons I didn't even share on that talk where I could be a victim. But I just, like you said, I call it switch. Flipping the switch that's in my head, and just boop boop. And we all wallow here and there. We go, oh yeah, here and there. That's just, we're all human. If nothing ever affected us, that'd be great. I guess we would be superhuman in that regard. So I am not superhuman, but I do think in this time, right, we have to take that switch. We have to decide when to flip it and figure out to see the greener grass, to see the upside of things. It drives me bonkers when I hear folks that are just, in it, like, oh, woe is me, this thing happened, and so now I'm gonna jump off a bridge. I mean, I hate to say that, because there are people that have mental health issues that do that, but there are also a lot of people that just have that mentality of just, this thing happened and I don't know how to get through it, and it's trying to help them to gather a thickness of skin about them, and to be able to see that better side. And that's what we need right now. Like, we need that message. We need to be helping so much in that regard. How do you reframe? How is it that you flip that script, Yeah.
And I think it's, to your point, do you choose to be a victor or a victim? Yes. And I think that's first and foremost, because if you don't recognize you have a choice, then you can't help someone. If someone doesn't have a desire and a motivation to do something differently, they don't need to know how yet. Yeah. Plenty of us you can help with the how, I can help with that. There are plenty of people. There's a thing called Google that can help with the how, right? The how, there's no shortage of resources to figure out the how, but people it has to start with an awareness and a desire to do something differently. And that's where I think that we sometimes even get stuck when we're trying to help people, is sometimes we're trying to help people who don't want to be helped.
That's true. It's
that story.
Or they're too scared to ask for help.
Yesterday, I was on a call. It was my author day with my publisher on this next book I have, and that's kind of the whole foundation of my book, is this idea of having a desire and having intention, having awareness that circles around all of that. Those are kind of the 3 components of any type of change, whether it's individual or organizational. Organizational really ends up being individual, because they're all individuals inside the organization. So it's people we're talking about. Organizations don't have emotions. It's the people that have emotions, right? And it's what we get to do, what we do with them in this place of the uplifting idea and the highlighting the greatness. I remember one time I had a 360 in one organization I worked at, and my employees were like, "Oh, she's the greatest manager. I love her. I love her." The colleagues were like, she's great. However, like, how does she have this much time to recognize people? Like, it's almost an obsession. Like, how does she have that much time? And it's not even people on her team. Like, why is she taking that time? And to me, that's the thing that uplifts people. I mean, when you recognize even the smallest of changes or the smallest of wins, it makes a huge difference for how they walk about and show up in their lives and what they do to other people.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting for me because yes, I hate to equate our employees to children. And I'm not saying they are childish, although at times they may. But anyway, apart from those situations, I think when we can kind of look at our own kids, how do you get your kids to do more good, to do more of the good things? How do you help them use their manners more? Well, you give them positive reinforcement and feedback on the things that they're doing well. And so really, it's the same kind of thing. You sprinkle goodness. Like sprinkle it like confetti, sprinkle it kind confetti everywhere. And it's not the answer for everything, but oh my gosh, it goes a long, long way.
It so does. Yeah. I love the confetti idea. And I do agree. I hate to say that, like, that sounds like I'm a parent inside the workplace, because that's not what it is. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff that I write about has a lot of the stories relate to my kids. Either they're teaching me things, like they're the leaders of me, right? And there are times when I'm the leaders of them. And that's okay. I have 4 children as well, 3 boys and 1 girl. And so it's a lifelong learning experience with them. Right. You never stop learning when you have children. And I think, and you never stop teaching either. Yeah. And so I don't think it's anything
all the time. Yeah. Both all the time. You're a learner and a leader all the time. And I think that extends, I think when we have kids, it's just another part of life experience that broadens our perspectives, experiences, thoughts, and everything else. And it really, how was I going with this?
Welcome to my world. It's not a negative thing. It's just sometimes we're having a conversation and then it's just like,
oh no, it like just totally dropped. It's like I have all these things to say. But
I call it a brain cramp. It happens. We as kids, remember we all had the popsicles and we all tried to freeze our brain to have that kind of thing. It's kind of like that without the pain. It's just a brain cramp.
So thank you for like saving me that. But I remember now. So thank you.
You're welcome.
The leader learner thing. I think that we learn and become aware of that when we have kids. And it's like, but that's even if you don't have kids, we're leaders and learners our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Learning doesn't stop when we become an adult. And I used to, I had all these ideas of what adulthood meant, and then you get there, it's like, oh, wow, it's not at all what I expected. And the learning piece has been something that I've found so fun, that when you realize that the learning never stops, the learning about through others, with others, the leading of others, like it's this constant exchange, and extending kindness and receiving kindness is like, I think, such a really healthy, fun part of that process.
And to Louise's point, it's like, this is why another part of the ripple of why I do the Fantastic Four. Like I read and I'm curious, and I read articles based on the incredible people that are on the LinkedIn platform. And I read some stuff where I hear their viewpoints on something and I'm just like, okay, didn't really see it that way. How interesting. And it literally is, I look at LinkedIn as this universal library with the greatest books you can think of.
It's a learning playground.
It's like it's a kid going into a toy shop and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. Oh my God. I've never seen this before. What does this do? And you take it off the shelf and you're trying to figure it out. It's like LinkedIn is the greatest library on the planet. The intelligence and the intellectual ideas and concepts and thoughts that people have on that platform is better than any book. Like, it's just, and you know what? It's living, it's breathing. And yeah, there might be, as anything, there might be a few lemons, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's like, they're so hard to find those. You actually have to go out of your way probably to find them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true.
I just really believe that, once again, whether it's somebody in Australia, Africa, wherever, South America, Europe, wherever, men and women offer so much to make and help us learn and grow. And we can take those thoughts and ideas and adapt it to anything. Myself, being a speaker, being a leadership coach, like turning around and being a parent and helping to do stuff like that. Louise helping out with her, she coaches executive women and she can, the same thing. Yourself, how you, I'm sure all the things that you've been around has influenced, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, has influenced how your book will come out, this new book of yours, how we interact with our spouse, our family, our kids. And maybe we sit back after a moment, you're like, wow, I actually sounded pretty smart in that situation. Oh, I actually got that idea from Heather. Well, you know what I mean? Like, because we're constantly learning and we're molding it like plasticine, and we're taking little pieces of this and putting it together. And this is why when the world is in such a stressful state right now when it comes to racial inequality, and no country has not been touched by this, kind of like COVID. But I truly believe we have that mentality where we can learn and understand and listen to other people. We can become that, like we're all working together to create something much better. And I hate the word beautiful, but that's what really can come out of it.
Why do you hate that? I think that's great. That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Who would want to say that word? And hey, we're talking about uplifting right now. Right. These are three. Like, we're all three leadership coaches, executive coaches. We're all three speakers and consultants, right? We do all of this. So I bring you on because I want to highlight you too. But at the same time, this is what it's about. We're uplifting people. This is what we do.
Amen.
So never apologize for that, right?
But I guess for me, and I'm going to speak as a man, is that you don't, and one thing I have been ridiculed in the past is that, and it is difficult for men to kind of like have those soft, using words like beautiful and saying this is, beautiful, great, wonderful. Like men we're told we're not to use those words. We're told to, tough exterior all the time and straight to the point and no emotions involved and those kind of things. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way. That is Mad Men 1970s. Like that world does not exist anymore. And corporations and businesses out there or entrepreneurs, if you're holding on to that idea, you think, oh, it's the brass ring, it'll never change, it's the way things are, you're going to be left behind. The world is changing, and I am proud to be a man that wears his emotions on his sleeve and very open and with a big heart, and can have those emotional conversations that are not typical. So that's why I go back when you say beautiful. Some people are like, he can't really say that, he's a man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the rules don't apply on my show, so I don't know. I apply on my life. I'm gonna be honest. I just gotta. In the end, it's for me. I have when I'm singular focused, I'm focused on how am I going to change the lives of others? How am I going to change the minds and behaviors of others? How am I going to change the experiences for others? All I'm doing is focusing on that. So maybe the rules may not, everyone else's rules probably won't apply to me. And I'm okay with that. And I'll break them sometime and I'll get my hand slapped sometime. And that's just how it's going to be.
I love it.
That's the key. We have to be that way. We have to kind of be singular focus in that direction, because otherwise we could easily go off course. And this kind of goes into, what are some of the practical things that for those who might be chiming in now, and even they're not chiming in now because LinkedIn's going bonkers and it's weird. I see a few people that are on YouTube for sure, but I don't know who else is going to, see this later, because I'll be sharing out the link. For those who are just, they just struggle to kind of get past, the news cycles. Number one, I say don't even watch the news, try to minimize the news, but that's one practical thing for me because it's just so negative. But what are some of the practical things that you do to either separate yourself from the just some of the world, the negativity in the world that's around you, and keep just focusing on uplifting others? Are there certain practices that you have that you do every day that just kind of keep you more centered to do it?
A big fat yes. It's easy and difficult at the same time. It's easy because the strategies, which I'll just share in a second, the strategies themselves are easy. The hard part is the consistency of doing it daily. Hard because you've got to be committed long after the feeling of wanting to do it has passed. It's like so the stuff that I do, it's like I consider that like emotional and brain exercise. The way that you go to the gym to work out your body and your muscles, you can't just go once and be like, all right, I'm set. My heart is fine, my muscles look good. No, it's got to be done over time. And in our world of negativity, and with our brain's natural propensity to negative things, that's what's kept us alive on this planet as long as it has, right? Paying attention to the negative. Is this going to kill me? Like dangerous, safe, dangerous, safe. We still react that way. So we have to be super intentional about what gets our attention. And so I start every day, most days, with what I call MMJ. It's meditation, movement, and journaling. And done on one day, does it make a difference? Nope. Just like going to the gym one day doesn't make a difference. Done consistently over time, these bring me back to my center. Every single day I start then from a centered place. So meditation typically is about 10 minutes. Movement might be anything from hopping on my Peloton to doing a quick walk with Jay. That's actually only 10 minutes if that's all I have time for that day. And journaling, I happen to do 3 pages of just free journaling, right? But it doesn't matter kind of what it is. It's called, I have to just give a plug for The Artist's Way. It's like a 25-year-old book and approach. I'll share more on that. Happy to share more on that later. But those are 3 things that without doing, I will not have a masterpiece day. If I do those 3 things, that sets me up for a day that I'm proud of. Does it mean that every day is a rock star day? Nope. But if I don't have a rock star day, I can always look back and think, well, I didn't set myself up for a rock star day. Wow. So again, it's about being really intentional about what gets my attention. I also don't watch the news. I read the news. I go through the headlines and just skim the things that I think I need to know about. But I don't. I'm very intentional about what gets like if you saw around my room, I've got positive phrases around me. I'm very concerned and cognizant of the people that I let into my circle in my life. So where there may be negativity, I'm very, very conscious about, do I let this in or not? So those are a few things.
Yes.
And I'll keep mine short. So
was that too long?
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. But what I'm getting for myself personally, I get up in the morning anywhere between 4:30 in the morning and 4:45. And I get up and either go for a run right away, meditate, and then do yoga. Those 3 things. And it doesn't have to be in a certain order, but for me to have a successful day, those 3 things have to happen in the morning. And to see, and I'm telling you right now, and people who are out there who've watched a sunrise, sunrise changes all the time. It's never the same. It's constantly changing. And for me, just like every day is a new day. You haven't, like, I go to bed considering the things I've gone through in my life. I get up every morning and I think to myself, man, I get to do this again. Like, I have another 24 hours to do this again. So who can I impact? My why is to positively impact have a positive impact on one person every single day. It could be somebody there at a gas station, you say hi or whatever. It could be a neighbor on the street, my own kids, Louise. I mean, it could be anyone. It's just, you just want to have that one positive influence on someone to make them feel, for whether it's 20 seconds or 20 minutes, that they are the most important person that's out there, that they all making a difference. They are having a positive impact on myself and everybody around them. And for me, having that opportunity to get up every morning, see that different sunrise 365 days a year, and being able to do the running and to do the meditation and to do the yoga. I mean, for me, it's like you're calming, and I'm going to say what Louise said, you are centering yourself, you're getting into your core of who you are, and you're calming the noise. And once you calm the noise, it's amazing how clarity you can have as you get through the day. So when Bob from the office is annoying you, it doesn't actually annoy you. It's just like Bob's Bob. But because you just have that clarity, and I apologize to all the Bobs out there.
I hope there's no Bobs joining. Just don't take it personally if you're out there. We're talking generalities.
That wasn't show up, by the way. Just saying.
Well, I actually like there's some words that pop out for me, and I use this a lot, and it's the get to and kind of a look for. So this is the reframing stuff that I know that I talk about a lot, where we're doing something and we're like, oh, I have to, they make me, like all of this stuff, right? And I know you can see that it really irritates you. You'll do that. So it's just, yeah, exactly. The body language is there. I'm being very clear here. Okay, let's knock that off. You get to do that. Like you said, you get to get up in 24. You get to go do that walk. You get to mow the lawn, because you could have no arms and legs. There are people who are like that. I mean, so yes, be very thankful. And then the other thing is looking for. So people like us, we are seeking the positive. We're seeking the positive in others. We're looking for that positive side, the positive flip on even something that appears right off its surface to be super negative or super like power sucking. It sucks away all the energy and stuff from us. And we can say, I'm stopping that power suck. I'm stopping that. What is it? Like, what is it about that person? What is it about, that situation? Part of that backstory, I just had an interesting relationship with my grandmother, and it was a strained one. But then at the same time, on the very flip side, it was a very loving relationship. And so I used to have friends who'd be like, how could you even love that side of the family? How is it that you could even bring yourself to be with them? And it's because I chose to focus on that love was there, the bits and pieces of caring and gentleness and kindness and things like that, right? So I tend to just look for and see that in people who maybe other people are like, I don't even know why you're wasting your time on that employee, on that person, on that, and I think that's a huge kind of strategy that people should have. And I hear you guys, echoing that a lot. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I'm hoping that this larger choir can get the word out in a bigger way.
It's interesting when you hear even people who have a similar philosophy, when you hear it described differently, it resonates with different people differently, right?
It does.
It really does. Very differently.
And then Mama Mia, I'm not sure exactly who this is. It's just somebody from YouTube saying, Jay, were you always so positive? So have you always been this positive?
I think for the most part, for the most part, I think I was a positive person, but I, like a lot of things, you have situations that happen to you from a young age. And then unfortunately, if you have a negative thing happen to you at a very young age, unfortunately, that becomes a building block and for another negative thing to get on top of it. And then it becomes like Lego, right? But here's the beautiful thing about Lego. Lego can come apart. And you can take pieces off and you can start moving it, right? So it's never too late to change who you are, because we can change our physical aspect. Like I used to have short hair and clean shaven. Now it's like COVID, long hair, beard. And, we can change certain things about ourselves, our physical appearance. We can change our philosophies on certain things. But the core of who we are, the core, like, the inner side, not the outer rings, but the inner side, that is really who you are. And that might be, and there could be a debate about this, whether that can truly change or not. But I'm not here to debate that. I'm just saying is that we have the opportunity to make those changes. You can take those Lego blocks. Just because something happened to you doesn't mean that's the path your life has to be. And for me, and like Brene Brown said, you can take the armor off. You can choose. You go into the ring, you have all this armor on, and you can't move as well. You're protected, but you can't move as well. Take that armor off. You have more flexibility. Are you going to get hurt? Yep, but you're going to have more flexibility. You're going to be able to move quicker. Maybe you avoid certain things because you don't have that armor on top of you. And I've always said, and I'll give you the mic, and I apologize here.
This is good stuff, though.
For me personally, I had 3 major things happen in my life. And this is where, to answer Mama Mia, how it changed me. I was diagnosed with a blood disorder that there's no cure for. I was involved in a pretty horrific car accident that should have claimed my life. And then I had cancer. All three things all happened in a span of just over a year.
Oh, good.
And so, but I looked at it this way. I'm like, the universe is talking to me, so I better pay attention, because I'm telling you right now, you think you can hit the snooze all the time. Eventually that alarm gets louder and louder and louder, and eventually you can't hit the snooze anymore. You're going to have to wake up, and you have a choice at that moment. Life, I've been given an opportunity to choose to live life a different way. Because obviously the path that I was going on, the universe, or if people of faith, God says you have another reason. There's another purpose for you to be doing what you need to be doing. So you need to change lanes. And I think understanding my expiration date, knowing when I'm going to pass away, and knowing that I've beaten cancer has given me that positive outlook that, yes, cup is half full, flip the script. But even though that happened in my life, I still had that. I think the core of me was always positive. Mm-hmm. So the core was always there, but maybe there was too many layers, or to Brene Brown's comment, I had too much armor on to really understand. So the armor's off, and so there you go. Sorry.
No, the question was for you.
Yeah, and I think that's for me, I think my adversity made it. I definitely have thicker skin as a result of it. It's when I think about the different elements of my upbringing and things that happened in my life, I think I'm not afraid of like a little bit of pain. So when someone's like, "Oh, this is going to be a hard," like my fear level, or I guess my tolerance level for risk or pain or being hurt or seeing too much of good in one person is just, it's super high. My tolerance is super high, because I choose to be, people, they may see it as like naive, but it's a choice I make. I actually choose to look forward, to move forward, even when something hits me. And yes, I'm not going to lie to you. Still over the years, even past over the major stuff in my life, I have still fallen, right? We all fall. And so I've fallen. But the thing about me is that I get up much more quickly than most. Mm-hmm. So I'm able to bounce more quickly, and then just be hyper focused on not like letting other things get in my way. Then another thing gets in my way and I fall again, and then boom, I'm up again. But it's faster. It's not, I'm just sitting around. It's like 6 months later, and that thing that we know about. Come on, let's just get on Unstuck together. Let's get on this Unstuck bus together.
I love that.
I'm learning.
It's a habit, I think, right? You train your brain to take that path instead of taking the other path. This is that reframing you're talking about. So I think the more you reframe, the more you get used to reframing, and the more often you do it, and the faster you do it, and the more habitual that becomes. So I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying about being able to get up faster and bounce back faster. And I think the more evidence that you have of your ability to do hard things, get knocked down and bounce back and carry on, the more evidence that you have of that, that, okay, it's going to happen again, and I will carry on again, and I will bounce again. And it's all very fascinating.
It is, isn't it? It really is fascinating. Okay, so for those who are listening there now, or they will be listening, because I'm sure people are like, darn it, I didn't get in there. I'll make sure I get you to the link as soon as it pops up from YouTube. I'll get it to you. You can send it out to your folks. What would be like the closing remark or comment you might have just about this topic of uplifting others, even during COVID and through just the tumultuous times we're going through now?
There you go. You have the talking stick. You go first.
About kindness towards others. I just don't think it's always cool to be kind. Mm-hmm. It costs nothing to be kind. And kindness towards others, whether you see it or you don't, are like little drops of rain, not rain, but little drops of goodness that you're sprinkling on others. And that's never runs out. Your ability to give kindness and love, there is no end to that. You don't have to hold on to it for fear of running out. It's limitless.
Ooh, love it. Ooh, love that. Love that. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I think for me is to Louise's point, it's like it actually takes more energy to be pissed off and be aggressive and be angry. It actually physically takes more energy to do that than be kind. It is in our human DNA to be kind to other people. You have to understand that. And so for me, it's a natural thing. Good morning, smiling, how are you? And it's not just lip service. It's a legitimate, how are you? Are you doing okay? Great to see you again. Good job. Like these are the things that to me it's like breathing. It's just part of it. And I think if people understand that just being human being, like be the part of the human being and give that positive understanding and comments to people. We all walk around. I'm going to use my mug as an example. We're all walking around with a little like a bucket, okay? And every single time you say something positive to somebody, a drop goes in that bucket. And then somebody else says something, and that drop goes in that bucket. Pretty soon, we're walking around, and our bucket is swish-swashing, water's all coming out of it. It's because every person that we're interacting with is putting the one little drop in that bucket. And
so be the one to add the drop.
Don't take a drop. Yeah.
Love it. We're going to end on that. Be the one to add the drop. Don't take a drop. And for those who are out there now, I apologize if it was hard for you getting on. We'll make sure to share this link out if you missed any part of it. And so look in the next 10 minutes or so, I'll make sure I should send that out and then we can share it large and small. I appreciate it so much. You two love birds and people who lift others up in love. I appreciate you so much. And thanks for joining me. It's been awesome.
Thanks, you so much. It was a blast, Heather.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.